It's Thursday, September the 20th. Lake level is about 912 and a half. It's about a foot lower than it was at this time last week. And water temperature is actually going up. It was 82, 83 degrees when we got off the water this afternoon, but it started out at about 80. But before I get into the fishing report, the guys at Extreme Outdoors, which if you don't know where it is, it's a tackle store behind Ark Marine in Branson West. They're having it's a summer, end of summer fling. They got discounts going on a bunch of different product. They're going to have meals there for $1 a plate. A bunch of different things going on with archery equipment, rifles, and tackle. But if you get a chance, you need to stop by. Pro Guide Batteries is going to be there with some special deals on some blend batteries. They'll have a trailer load of them, and they'll also have a bunch of new products. So if you got any questions on anything about batteries, it'd be a good time to go down and talk to the guys with battery outfitters. And like I say, lots of good deals going on. So if you get a chance, that's Friday, September the 19th, I believe. No, September 29th, I'm sorry. And it's going from 8 to 4. So we'll talk about it a little bit more next week, just a few days before the event. So if you get a chance, you can buy and check them out. But, you know, the fishing's still, it's still pretty good. They seem to be biting that football jig a little better than they had been. Still biting a drop shot. Best bite seems to be early. I haven't really got on much of a topwater bite. There's been some schooling fish throughout the day. Seems like you got to have a spook, or I've been throwing a Strike King Sexy Dog. You got to have one of them handy, or even a spoon, something you throw out. A lot of the fish I've been seeing schooling have just been individuals. But the most consistent bite, without a doubt, has been a drop shot, and then second to that has been the football jig. And I'm fishing it on a lot of main lake points. The main depth seems to be 25 to 30 feet. A lot of times it's on gravel points. A lot of times it'll be mixed gravel and chunk, but the main deal seems to be consistent. You got to have deep water on one side of the point or the other. And they're also biting a spoon pretty decent as well. We talked a little bit last week about that new spoon of James Watson's, a worldwide spoon by River to Seas. And I think James talked about it at a seminar I went to, but something I realized about it yesterday is when you flip it into the stalls and give it a slack line, it actually goes backwards, because I got it stuck underneath a walkway that I pitched to the front of it, and I really couldn't figure out how it got back there, so I got to messing around watching it, and if you let it fall on a slack line, as it's fluttering down, it goes away from you, which is pretty neat. But I've been catching some decent fish on a spoon. I just have to hit quite a few docks. They seem to be in the ends of just the last 2 or 3 stalls on a deep dock. You got to have 30 to 50 foot at the end of the dock. And sometimes they're suspended, you know, within the first 10 feet or so. If I find they're suspended, the flutter spoon is working a little bit better than the slab spoon. If they're down there a little deeper, closer to the bottom, 30, 35 foot, I'm throwing either a 3/4 ounce slab spoon or a 3/4 ounce flutter spoon, you know, smaller flutter spoon, letting it go all the way down the bottom, ripping it. Now, we got to playing around a little bit today, and we went way up into James River, about as far as you can go up into canoe water. And we actually caught some fish up there on topwater. We caught some on a 7/16 ounce green pumpkin purple and PBJ 5 fish, 7/16 ultimate finesse jig. Seemed like most of the fish were pretty tight to wood cover, and they were only in 1 to 4 feet of water. But you know, the areas we were fishing, there was only 8 or 9 feet of water up there. But a lot of the wood had fish on it, and a lot of bait up in there flipping around. I think we just had one on top water. Normally this time of year, you can go up there with a small whopper plopper or a buzz bait and catch quite a few fish. That wasn't the case today. I still think that water needs to cool down, which right now it's going the other way. We've had such gorgeous weather. I mean, we had a little cool down about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and a lot of things that normally happen in the fall started to happen. But then we got into this Indian summer, and it's been killer hot. I mean, if you'd been out, yesterday was like 90-something degrees, not, you know, real high humidity. Today, at least we had a breeze, so it was pretty comfortable out there. But, you know, once this weather starts to cool down, that water temperature starts to cool down a little bit more, you're going to see football jig bite, top water bite pickup, and even a crankbait, but we're going to have to get that water temperature down about 10 degrees or so. Good thing is, seems to be a lot more smallmouth showing up in the last week or so. And the jigs I'm throwing out there deep, it's either a 5-fish ultimate finesse jig, and I'm throwing a lot of different colors. I'm throwing a 9/16. This is a PBJ with a Strike King baby rage craw. I'm also throwing a 5/8 ounce pig sticker, either green pumpkin purple or green pumpkin with orange is working good, and that's got a baby rage craw on it. But a Zoom Speed craw will work good as a trailer. Twin-tail chompers, you know, any kind of twin-tail and a green pumpkin or watermelon. Another thing we're catching some fish on is a big shaky head, either 1/2 ounce or 5/8 ounce shaky head, and I'm throwing a Zoom Magnum finesse worm. And the two colors we're pretty much throwing is either green pumpkin or watermelon candy. If I'm up in the river arms, I'll take and dip the tail just a little bit. But it seemed like the best way to catch these fish is just dragging the bait real slow, and they seem to be in the rock transitions. You'll be in the gravel, then all of a sudden you'll get around some bigger chunk rock. And a lot of times you'll just have to drag around these points, or you can use your structure scan and idle around these long flat points and find the bigger rock, mark waypoints on it, and then back off and fish those waypoints you just found. But a lot of the drop shot fish, probably the most numbers of drop shot fish are definitely coming out of brush. Now there are a few of them suspending, but I'm not catching that many out over deep trees. Seems like they might be suspending 25 feet over 35 to 40 feet. But for the most part, they're within 5 or 10 feet off the bottom. So fishing should, as long as this weather stays real warm, I don't see a whole lot changing. Like I say, we need that water to cool down to get the fish. A few more fish moved up shallow. There is some fish around some shallow docks, but underneath the walkways and in the shade of the floats, anywhere from 12 to 15 foot. But you got to cover a lot of docks to find one that's got a few fish on it. Usually if you get one bite off the docks, you'll get a couple. It's been the same way with the spoonfish. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.